Is this the room you usually sit in?
Have you come to look at the house? The servant will show it to you.
I haven't come to buy the house. Won't get much for it, I can tell you that.
Thank you.
You must be one of the daughters.
That depends on whose daughter you mean.
The late Mr. Archer. And my poor sister.
You then must be our crazy Aunt Lydia.
I'm her Aunt Lydia, but I'm not crazy. Which daughter are you?
The youngest.
Are you the prettiest?
I haven't the least idea.
Well, I guess you must be. Is that what your father told you to call me? Crazy? Sounds like him. Still, he's dead. I'll say nothing against him.
He drank and he gambled, and that's all there is to it.
He led your mother a dance, I can tell you that. How much money do you expect to get for this property?
I haven't the least idea.
Well, you needn't sound so proud. A proper appreciation of money never did anybody any harm. And that's your father. Gave you fancy notions. Brought you up as if you were to inherit $1 million.
I thought you weren't going to say anything against him.
How much do you inherit?
I really can't tell you. You must ask Lillian. She'll be back soon.
Oh, is she the one married into the army?
No, that's Edith. Lillian married a lawyer. Have you come from England?
Florence. I live in Florence.
Florence? Oh, I should like to go there.
Would you now?
I'd give anything to see the cities of Italy.
Well, if you behave yourself and do everything I tell you, I might take you there.
I don't think I can promise that. To do everything you tell me.
No. Fond of your own way, aren't you? I can see that.
I thought you lived in England.
I don't like England. I don't like bread-sore servants that drink beer or British laundries.
Is that all there is to England?
Oh, no, there's more to it than that, but that's enough for me.
And doesn't my uncle like England?
Well, I suppose since he won't leave it, he must like it. Anyway, he prefers it to me. He won't come and live in Florence.
You see little of each other, then.
Enough. This sister of yours, she likely to be long?
Not long.
Oh, gossiping, I suppose. Well, you're my sister's children. I suppose I must do something for you. Two that are married have done for themselves, so there's nothing I can do there. But if you've a mind, you can come back to Europe with me.
Europe?
For a holiday. Maybe make something of a lady of you.
I don't think...
there's no need to worry about money.
I'd want to pay something.
Oh, well, that's neither here nor there. You've got until tonight to make up your mind.
Tonight? But are you leaving soon, then?
Tomorrow.
But I should buy some clothes and...
Oh, but you can buy those in Europe. Nobody buys clothes in America except those who live here. They got no choice.
Mr. Goodwood is here.
In a minute.
I'm going. This is the address of my hotel. I don't know what the 4 stars are for. They're certainly not for comfort. Tell your sister to call on me this evening. She'll bring her husband with her. But she's not to bring you. I'll see plenty of you later.
Mr. Goodwood.
I hoped you wouldn't come.
Well, I said you hadn't seen the last of me. Is it too tiresome for you to receive me?
Not at all. As I told you before, under other circumstances,
There are no other. Isabel, what do you want out of life?
That is so arrogant.
I don't see why.
Doesn't it imply that in refusing you, I must have something quite extraordinary in mind?
Have you?
No, I simply don't want to get married.
To me?
To anyone.
Well, what do you want to do?
Is everything to be viewed as an alternative to marriage?
For a woman, it's not unusual.
But I don't see it that way. I may travel to Europe.
I would take you anywhere you wanted to go.
That wouldn't be the same.
Married to me, you'd have more freedom than a single woman. A married woman can go places a single woman can't. How will you travel?
With my aunt, I think.
The lady who was here just now?
She has invited me to see something of Europe.
She didn't look to me to be an ideal traveling companion.
She seemed very nice. A little eccentric, perhaps. But then she is very rich.
You don't seem to know her very well.
Oh, I haven't seen her since I was a child. She came when she heard my father had died. I thought that was nice of her.
Yes. So, you'll go to Europe. For how long?
3 months, perhaps. Perhaps longer.
For what?
To see it. What else? Oh, I am not ready to settle down, Mr. Goodwood.
Well, if you were, would it be with me?
Perhaps. Who knows what our destiny holds for us?
I don't go much on destiny. Life's there to be taken hold of. I shan't give up easily, Isabel.
I can imagine that.
Why should I? You're all I want.
Oh?
For the moment. Well then, go in search of your destiny.
That's too dramatic.
You may find me at the end of it.
And that would be even more so.
You're the most extraordinary girl I've ever met.
Dear Henrietta, I have marked my cabin with a cross. We are traveling first, of course. I expect you've heard about it from Lillian. My aunt is a strange woman, but I like her. We shall be staying a while at my uncle's home in the south of England, and then going to the continent. I shall write you my impressions quite fully, but you must promise not to use any of them as material for your column in the interview.
Would you like some more tea?
Well, I guess I'll wait and see.
You cold?
Oh,
I can't honestly say the shawl suits you.
it's my wife's.
Oh, well, it was Mrs. Touchett. Now, don't put ideas in his head. He must keep his poor old legs warm.
You have no call to go abusing my legs. They're as good as yours.
You may abuse mine any time you like.
You see, we're two lame ducks. Still, he is a good nurse.
I thought he's rather clumsy.
Well, he's not bad, considering he's not in much better physical shape than me.
Oh, come.
Tell me, have you ever been sick, Lord Warburton?
Once, in the Persian Gulf. It's a sort of joke. He's making light of you.
I must say you don't look as if you've ever been sick.
He's sick of life. He was just telling me so.
Well, if I am, your son gives scant comfort. Do you know, sir, he's a regular cynic.
It's his health. It affects his theoretical view of life. Practically, he is a cheery soul.
I find life interesting. I don't pretend like Warburton to be bored.
Well, I'm never bored when I come here. I get such uncommonly good talk.
Oh, is that another sort of joke? You know, you have no excuse for being bored with anything. If you had something to do, you wouldn't be bored. You young men, you're too idle and too rich.
Oh, come. It's hardly for you to accuse anyone of being rich.
I did not accuse you of simply being rich.
Oh, you mean it's all right to be rich if one is also industrious?
Where does that leave me?
Ah, well, now, you're different. Yes, you're clever besides.
Oh, do you think so?
Another joke, Daddy.
You young men have too many jokes. When you have no jokes, you have nothing left.
I say, who's a pretty girl?
No idea.
You know, I have a feeling that that's my wife's niece.
Oh, I didn't know that arrived.
Neither did I.
You must be my cousin, Ralph Touchett.
Isabel Archer? Mm-hmm. My mother is really too much. How long have you been here?
About an hour.
She deposited you and just left again?
Oh, no. She went straight up to her room and will appear at dinner. I saw you from the window.
Well, it's really too bad.
Your mother tells me that in England, people arrive quietly.
Oh, not that quietly. Those are my mother's notions. Believe it or not, my mother has arrived, and this is Miss Archer.
I do wish you had given us a chance to receive you.
Oh, but we were. There were dozens of servants.
Oh, but we can usually do better than that.
This is a friend of ours, Lord Warburton.
I hope your journey was tolerable.
Oh, I enjoyed it. Traveling agrees with me. I'm so sorry you are not well.
Oh, I am an old man. It is time for me not to be well, I suppose. Still, I think I shall feel better for having you here.
It is very beautiful here. And I love your house. Is it very old?
Early Tudor, most of it.
It's delightful.
There are many better ones.
I have a very good one. In some respects, it's better, I think.
Don't you believe him? It's like an old barracks.
Or perhaps I may show it to you sometime.
Oh, I should love to see it. I hardly expected to meet a real English lord the moment I arrived.
Well, I hope you're not too disappointed.
Oh, it's really much too early to say.
It's most unaccountable we've never met. I've been in New York several times.
There was some disagreement between your mother and my father after my mother's death.
But I don't embrace all my mother's quarrels, heaven forbid.
She's been very kind to me.
Well, from her one letter, it would seem she's adopted you.
Adopted? Oh, no. I'm not a candidate for adoption.
I'm sorry, I didn't
You
mean
meant taken up? Yes, I suppose she has taken me up. I like her.
Oh? Why?
I don't know.
That's what everyone says.
Do they? Then I must think of a reason. Yes, surely it's because she doesn't expect to be liked.
Well, I think I should go see Mother. Will you excuse me?
You said that I said welcome home.
Sack would be a better word.
And what do you do, Lord Warburton?
Well, according to Mr. Touchett, very little.
Oh, I'm sure that isn't true.
Ah, you see, not everyone shares your view.
Who is it?
Me?
Oh, come in.
Oh, I'm all right.
Oh, you ought to get out of this cursed climate for good. 3 months a year is not nearly enough.
It is for me.
Well, you're as bad as your father. If he had any sense, he'd come and live in Florence.
He loves it here. He won't leave.
Then you should. In a warm climate, your lungs would heal properly.
To hell with my lungs.
How is he?
You'll see me out.
Oh, don't say that.
The doctors are vague. It's hard to say. I think he's glad you're home. Anyway, tell me about the young lady. You sprang her on us rather suddenly.
Well, I sent you a letter and 2 telegrams.
My dear mother, your letter was mainly about an hotel clerk who appears to have been very rude to you.
And so he was, and bone idle.
Exactly. I gained a vivid impression of him, so did my father. In fact, we both feel we could now pick him out in a crowd if the necessity ever arose. What about my cousin? You said very little.
Well, what do you want to know about her?
Your letter, you described her as independent. What do you mean by that?
Oh, I never know what I mean. Telegrams.
Then let's try a different approach. What do you plan to do with her?
Well, I shall ask your father. She can stay here for a while. Then I'll take her to Paris, buy some clothes.
And then?
Invite her to spend the autumn with me in Florence.
You don't rise above detail, Mother. I mean, in a general way, what do you intend to do with her?
My duty, naturally.
Sounds a little dry.
Well, if it is, she'll water it. She carries her own summer rain with her.
Ah, she's gifted?
Well, she's a clever girl with a strong will and a high temper. As for her gifts, you'll have to find that out for yourself.
And, how do you get on?
Well, you ask that as if you were sure we don't.
No, I'm sure you do. You wouldn't have brought her if you didn't. But how do you get on?
Well, she's very frank, and I'm very frank, so we know what to expect of each other. Does that satisfy you?
Totally. At any rate, one thing is clear. It's a very frank relationship. And now tell me why you brought her.
Well, why else should I bring her here? Except that she was alone, and I thought it would benefit her.
You went there with that in mind, to bring her back?
Yes.
You never told us.
Well, I had it in mind, but I might have changed my mind. Why should I waste people's time talking about something that might never happen?
I wouldn't have considered it a waste of my time.
Well, I was thinking about my own. You're more prodigal of your time than I am.
Had you met her before? You see, I'm quite in the dark about everything.
Well, I hadn't seen my sister's children for years. As you know, I disapproved of the father.
Yes, that I did know.
And I resolved that when he passed on and got his just deserts, I'd try and do something for them. So I found out where they were living and introduced myself.
They?
Yeah, she has 2 married sisters.
Well, what did they think of your bringing her back?
Oh, well, I only saw the elder one, Lily. She thought it was just the thing for her sister. You know, someone taking interest in her. She spoke very highly of her possibilities.
In what way?
Oh, I have yet to learn what her special line is.
She's pretty.
Think so?
But I wouldn't insist on it. It's her general air of being someone in particular that strikes me.
Well, if that's her special line, it's not a bad one.
Oh, it's not something she makes a specialty of. Tell me, do you think she's ambitious?
For what?
Oh, to marry an English lord, for instance. She's already made a hit with Warburton.
Oh, Warburton.
Well, he's not easily impressed.
Neither is she, I wouldn't wonder. As for her ambitions, I've no idea. She's not likely to confide in me.
You've still not told me what you intend to do with her.
Well, goodness, boy, she's not a yard of calico. She'll do exactly as she chooses. She's given me notice of that already.
Ah, high-spirited, huh? One more thing. You've no plan to marry her off?
Well, I brought her here to spread her wings, not clip them.
But she naturally has it in mind.
Well, I've no idea what she naturally has in mind. I believe there's a young man in Boston.
Well, there's always a young man in Boston. Fortunately, they leave them behind.
And why are you so interested?
Well, that's it, really. She's interesting.
Oh, I was passing there, so I thought I'd call.
Oh, you have taken to excusing yourself for dropping in?
Oh, I didn't mean to.
And have you gained the impression that we are not always pleased to see you?
Well, it's only polite that the thought should cross one's mind now and then.
You English, you're too concerned with good manners. Ralph is out with his cousin. They should be back soon.
She must make a delightful companion.
We're happy to have her here. She's full of spirit.
She's very outspoken. Very refreshing in a young lady.
It's an American habit. The children are encouraged to express themselves. It is not always refreshing, as Mrs. Touchett never tires of pointing out.
Well, she seems to be enjoying herself.
I think so.
Very good of your wife to bring her to Europe.
Oh, she felt it was her duty. To Mrs. Touchett, that is indistinguishable from a privilege.
Well, you could do with more like her then in public life.
Oh, I'm not so sure about that.
Would you be against women in Parliament?
I'd be against Mrs. Touchett in Parliament. That's about as far as I've gone with the idea.
Yes. Yes, I've been thinking of going into politics myself. After all, you told me only the other day that you thought I ought to get up and take a hold of something.
You ought to get up and take hold of a pretty woman first.
Do you recommend it?
If you find the right one.
Ah, there's the rub.
Well, now, there's a specimen.
A specimen of what?
The English gentry.
Do you mean they're all like him?
Oh, no, not all like him.
Then he's a very favorable specimen, for I know he's very nice.
Did you enjoy your walk?
We went on the river.
Did you? Well, then you all have been handling the oars.
How did you know?
Well, he never rows. He's too lazy.
He has an excuse for his laziness.
Oh, he's got a good excuse for everything.
My excuse for not rowing is that my cousin rows so well. In fact, she does everything well. She touches nothing she doesn't adorn.
Then it makes one want to be touched, Miss Archer.
Be touched in the right sense, and you'll never look the worse for it. Are you well? You have not been bored all afternoon?
No, I have a new hobby, watching you enjoy yourself.
Then you have a full-time occupation.
Well, I must be going.
So soon?
Yes, I only dropped in because I was passing there. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have said that, should I? Your father thinks that I've begun excusing myself for dropping in.
I hope you won't feel you must call less often whilst I'm here, Lord Warburton.
It's my impression he's been calling rather more.
How very kind of you, Miss Archer. I promise that I won't. By the by, you still haven't taken up my invitation to come to Locklear. My sisters would be glad to receive you.
I should love to come.
Brave?
Saturday, then?
Splendid. For luncheon. I shall look forward to it very much. Goodbye, sir.
I like your English specimen gentleman very much.
So do I. Even though he doesn't take himself seriously.
Oh, surely he doesn't regard himself as a joke.
Worse, he regards himself as an imposition and an abuse.
Oh, I don't believe
It's
it.
true, he's in a frightful muddle about himself, his power, his position, everything else in the world.
Is it true, Uncle?
Oh, Ralph must talk, you know. He is a great radical, though, for a lord. He wants to do away with everything. It's the fashionable thing to do these days.
I hope he won't abolish himself, for I'm sure his friends would miss him.
And you?
I think he's charming. The more I see of him, the more impressed I am. Why do you suppose he is never married?
Perhaps he's waiting for someone to come and untangle him.
Oh, you won't be serious, I can see that. Do you feel sorry for Lord Warburton, Uncle?
He has 100,000 a year, owns 50,000 acres of land, has a half a dozen houses to live in, and a seat in the House of Lords.
One can still feel sorry for such a man.
You see, I told you, a wonderful imagination.
Oh, Ralph, stop it.
Well, how are you, Lord Warburton?
Extremely well. You brought some of your Florentine weather with you.
How delightful of you to come, Mrs. Touchett. How's your dear husband?
Oh, not as well as I'd hoped.
Welcome to Locklear.
Oh, what a beautiful drive it was.
You've been having things done to the place.
Here and there. Miss Archer, may I present my sisters to you? Mildred and Constance Molyneux, Miss Isabel Archer.
It's a pleasure for us to see you here, Miss Archer.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, let's go in, shall we? Luncheon will soon be ready. I'm sure the drive has given you all an appetite.
Claudia, it really is a man disguised as a woman writing as a man.
No, man disguised. No, a woman disguised as a man writing as a
He is
woman.
such a great radical.
Oh, dear, yes. He's immensely advanced.
Do you think he would stand the test?
The test?
Having to give all this up?
Do you mean because of the expense?
I mean, in the event of he and his class being abolished. Oh, I'm speaking theoretically, of course. I'm not sure it would be a good idea.
Why don't we have coffee outside, Warburton? It's such a lovely afternoon.
If the ladies are agreeable, I'm all for it. Good.
Is it true you live in a palace in Florence, Mrs. Touchett?
Well, it's a palace, but it's a very minor one.
And does it really have a violet?
Your house is very beautiful.
I do wish you'd come and stay for a while. My sisters have taken a great fancy to you, if that's any inducement.
I'm not in want of an inducement, but I'm afraid I can't make engagements. I'm quite in my aunt's hands.
Pardon me if I say that I don't exactly believe that. I'm sure that you can do whatever you want.
I'm sorry if I make that impression on you. It's not a nice impression to make.
It has the merit of allowing me to hope
To hope what?
that I may see more of you in the future.
Well, for that pleasure, I needn't be so emancipated.
Good. May I come and see you then next week?
Well, why? What is there to prevent it? I'm sure my uncle and my cousin
I
would
wasn't
be...
speaking of them.
As for myself, I should be very glad to see you.
Thank you. I'm charmed when you say that.
You are very easily charmed, then.
No, I'm not easily charmed. But you have charmed me, Miss Archer.
Perhaps we should join the others.
You also disturb me.
In what way?
Well, I have the feeling that you're always summing us up.
Well, you wouldn't necessarily lose by that.
Perhaps not. But stern justice is not what I'm looking for.
I'm not sure I like the picture you draw of me.
Well, perhaps it's exaggerated. But you intrigue me. You strike me as having mysterious purposes, vast designs.
And you strike me as being in a very fanciful frame of mind.
You're right. We should join the others.
Henrietta!
Tell me what train you were catching. Because I didn't know myself. You look great. The country agrees with you.
I love it here.
Where's your uncle? It was so good of him to invite me here.
Oh, he's upstairs. He isn't very well.
Oh, what a shame. Never mind, I'll see him later. Do you know, I think you're losing your accent.
Oh, I don't think
I
so.
swear to God, you sound positively English. Well, all the better for me. The more assimilated you are, the more I can pick your brains. Now, I'm counting on you for a genuine picture into the English.
Now, Henrietta, you can forget all that. My uncle would be horrified if he knew you were secretly taking notes.
Well, if you knew, it wouldn't be secret.
You know exactly what I mean. Now, just forget for a moment that you're a reporter from the Interviewer and behave like a proper person. Tell me, did you have a good trip?
It was very interesting.
You always have interesting trips. In what way this time?
Mr. Goodwood traveled out on the steamer with me. We talked a great deal about you.
You talked a great deal about me.
He's so very intense. He finds it hard to converse. He's come after you.
Did he say so?
Not in so many words.
What did you say about me?
Naturally, I said you were the finest person I knew.
I'm sorry for that. He ought not to be encouraged.
He needs a little encouragement.
That is for me to decide.
You really have changed.
One is affected by one's surroundings.
But not by Mr. Goodwood. Why don't you like him?
I didn't say I didn't like him.
Why don't you marry him then?
One can't marry everyone one likes. I don't know.
You always know, but you just don't always say. Now, do you think he'll do better?
I don't think about it at all.
He's very upright, and he's very handsome in a rugged kind of a way.
I am sure he has very few weaknesses.
And is that something against him? Now, you haven't met somebody else, have you? Heaven forbid you've met one of those effete English noblemen.
They're not so effete as you
Then
imagine.
you have.
Henrietta, do let us get off the subject of Mr. Goodwood.
Well, before we do, you'd better have this letter he sent you. Naturally, I want to know what's in it.
He's in England because I am in England. He wants to see me for half an hour.
And you'll see him?
No.
My dear friend, what do you want out of life?
You too?
Me too what?
He asked the same.
Well, you want to see what the world has to offer.
Or what I have to offer it.
The girl affronting her destiny. I find it intriguing.
You must be very bored to be intrigued by such a simple notion.
No, there's something about her. It's hard to define.
She's just a young girl on a trip to Europe. Don't make such a meal of it.
Dear mother, everything to you is as plain as batter pudding. Where you see bacon and egg pie, I see quiche Lorraine. The girl is more than just another tourist.
No, she wouldn't be that if I hadn't brought her here.
I don't know. Perhaps not here.
She hasn't the means to travel, and that's all there is to it. What kind of destiny?
Ah, if one knew that. Different, though.
She'll get married like everyone else. That'll be the end of her.
I hope not. She has a rare mind, my cousin. She won't be easily satisfied.
She's too easily satisfied in her choice of friends.
Miss Stackpole? Oh, I can understand that.
I have no doubt you would, but as for me, she talks too much and she talks too loud.
Her friends must be her own affair, my dear.
Oh, I wouldn't presume to advise her. Well, I might presume to advise her. After all, I'm her aunt and have a right to. But I don't expect her to follow it. That one follows her own and no one else's.
If she saw only the people you like, my dear, she would see precious few.
I'm very particular about the people I like, and I won't say different. And Miss Stackpole's not one of them. She's a good deal too brash for my liking. And while we're talking of friends, Ralph, I don't mind saying I don't approve of Lord Warburton waiting with her alone.
Oh, come, Mother. They're not more than 200 yards away.
The distance is irrelevant. It's not proper, and you should have gone with them.
Well, if she's compromised, it must be the quickest compromise in history, for they're on their way back.
Now, don't tell me Warburton's another on your list, my dear.
Oh, I like him well enough. But I didn't make the rules in this country, and he should stick to them.
Hello. Hello there. Can I join you? Oh, please don't get up. You look so comfortable sitting there. Who's that with Isabel?
Well, Lord Warburton, a friend of mine you haven't met.
Is he really a lord?
Really and truly, Miss Stackpole. And cross my heart, he's as lordly a lord as you'll ever meet.
Ah, now you're making fun of me, which I don't mind at all. But I'm not so naive as to fall flat on my face at the sight of an English lord.
Oh, heaven forbid.
It's just that he'd make a good subject for an interview. Personally, I don't hold with him at all. If they were all done away with tomorrow, the world would hardly lose by it.
Could say that about so many people, Miss Stackpole.
Are you going in now, my dear?
Yes.
I think I shall join you. I do hope that you will forgive me, Miss Stackpole, but I am feeling rather tired. And I'm sure that you young people won't miss me.
Now, that's where you're wrong, Mr. Touchett. We shall miss you very much.
Thank you.
He's a very dear man. Now, do you always spend your time like this?
Seldom in such agreeable company, Miss Stackpole.
Well, you know what I mean. Without any regular occupation. Now, don't you have a conscience?
None at all.
Well, I advise you to cultivate one if you're going to go back to America.
Oh, I shall stay very firmly away.
Are you ashamed to show yourself?
Well, I suppose if one has no conscience, one has no shame. Oh, Warburton, may I present Miss Stackpole, a genuine woman reporter?
How do you do? I must admit I've never met a lady reporter before.
And I've never met a lord. I do hope you'll let me come and interview you sometime.
Any time, Miss Stackpole, you've only to ask. But I thought you were here on a holiday.
Oh, Miss Stackpole never rests.
It's a working holiday.
Yes, which means more work than holiday.
Well, I enjoy my work, and so would you if you found some and put your heart in it. Now, you do have a heart, I suppose.
I did until you came, Miss Stackpole, and then I lost it.
Rubbish. Isabel, I find your cousin chiefly lacking in seriousness. It's a great fault.
It's also his great charm.
Well, if you believe that, you'll believe anything. Isn't that so, Lord Warburton?
Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr.
It was of absolutely no consequence.
The thought of you, Miss Stackpole, making a remark of no consequence chills me. I'm sure it presages some world disaster.
Well, if you'll excuse me, I'll be getting back.
I shall keep you to your promise, Lord Warburton.
I take care of my own promises, Miss Stackpole. We shall be delighted to see you at Lockleigh at any time. Goodbye. And thank you for a most pleasant walk. No, Rafe, don't you budge. You sit still.
I shall walk you to your horse.
Oh, well, you're welcome.
He's very charming.
He's in love with you.
Lord Warburton? Oh, really, Henrietta? For some reason or another, you imagine the whole world to be in love with me. Fortunately, I have no such illusions.
Nevertheless, he is.
I can accept that, and I wish you wouldn't talk of it. I'm sure Lord Warburton has other things on his mind.
I'm sure he does, but that doesn't prevent your being one of them.
I refuse to discuss it. Tell me, did you do any writing this afternoon?
Quite a lot. I'll read it to you. As the wheels of the open carriage clattered across the quaint old cobblestones of the charming early Tudor courtyard, my eyes lit upon the diamond-paned casement sparkling in the pale English sun.
I'm in love with her. I'm so much in love with her.
Why tell me?
She's your niece.
Yes, but I'm not her guardian. Still, it was kind of you to think of it. I suppose you had better tell her.
I intend to. That's why I came over this morning. Where is she?
She's in the garden, writing letters, I think.
Tell me, do you approve?
Of her?
Of me?
Oh, I approve of you both, though really it's not my affair. You, scarcely know her.
But I know my feeling for her. I trust that.
Truly, the English are the most romantic people in the world.
Oh, why?
Well, look at the situation. An English lord of considerable power and privilege meets a young American girl of no means, and, to be frank, of no great beauty, and...
Oh, I think she's beautiful.
Well, that just goes to prove my point. He falls in love with her at first sight, and instead of toying with some other arrangement, decides to marry her.
If she'll have me.
It's straight out of a novel.
Well, I'll think better of novels in future.
Your friends won't applaud you for it, you know.
But then one doesn't marry for the applause of one's friends.
No. I often wondered why you'd never married.
I've never wanted to marry, just for the sake of it. It's an important decision to make.
Still, you have made it very quickly.
I think one either knows quickly or not at all.
It is in decisions like this that our lives are shaped, yet we make them so quickly.
I'm 35. There have been other opportunities, but none that meant anything to me. As for differences in wealth, well, it simply pleases me that I should be able to offer her things that she might otherwise not have had.
Well, you've obviously thought it all out. You didn't come here to be talked out of it or into it.
I have thought about it. For the last few days, I've thought of nothing else. Well, I go and see her.
Yes, it is the best way. And if you do go now, you won't get waylaid by Miss Stackpole.
Tell me, do you
There
think
really is no alternative. You must ask her.
Good morning. Did you sleep well?
I heard you coughing during the night.
And you didn't sleep so well.
You know, I think your mother is right. You should live abroad.
Was that Warburton here just now?
Yes.
Where'd he go?
Out into the garden.
Whatever for?
He wants to speak to your cousin.
Isabel, what about? I see. So that's it.
What?
That's what it was to be.
Are you glad?
I don't know. We assume, of course, she'll accept him.
Yes.
I wonder if she will.